everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling poverty and its impact on men. Specifically, we're looking at the resilient spirit, community-based solutions to poverty.
Yeah, this one was really interesting.
It really was.
Some really great solutions-based stuff in there.
Yeah, and what I found fascinating was its take on men struggling with and overcoming poverty, especially within traditional Chinese culture.
Right. Like you said, the book really digs into this double bind that men so often find themselves in. Expected to be the strong providers and protectors, but then at the same time, there's this push for them to be emotionally open and vulnerable too.
Yeah, it's like,
How do you do both, especially when you're dealing with poverty?
yeah, exactly. Like they're walking this cultural tightrope, right?
Yeah.
And the book jumps right into this idea of masculinity kind of being in this grip of poverty.
Yeah.
With that story about Li Wei, the factory worker in China.
Oh yeah, Li Wei.
He doesn't make a lot of money, but
Yeah.
he's super respected in his community.
Right.
Because he acts as like a mediator, so it's not just about the paycheck.
Yeah. Exactly. And that the book really digs into this whole idea that men in poverty will often find these other ways to, kind of maintain their sense of masculinity. It's like this need to contribute to the community, to have a purpose that's bigger than just bringing home money.
And it seems to tie in so well with the whole focus on community-based solutions.
Right.
It's like these solutions are giving men a chance to almost like redefine what it means to be masculine.
For sure.
Find that purpose beyond just being the provider.
Totally. But then that brings up this whole other question.
Yeah.
How do we actually move past this rigid provider role?
Right.
The book digs into this too, talking about the mental toll this expectation has on men. They bring up Zhu Xi, who went and retrained after he lost his job,
Wow.
and then he launched his own business.
He like turned a setback into this whole new beginning.
Yeah. And it really speaks to the potential entrepreneurship has, helping people out of poverty.
Absolutely. But the book doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either.
No.
Like it brings up this vulnerability paradox
Well, right.
where society is telling men to be vulnerable, but then at the same time,
Shaming them for it.
yeah. So how do you even navigate that?
It's a real catch-22, Makes it so hard for men to really figure out their emotions and identities. The book is calling for a more balanced way of looking at it, recognizing both strength and vulnerability,
Yeah.
not as separate things.
Right, it's not either or.
Exactly.
The book also tackles education as a way to get out of poverty.
Yeah, that 65% statistic is wild.
65% of people in poverty haven't even finished high school.
Yeah, it's pretty staggering.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The book recognizes that self-taught skills can be just as valuable.
Yeah.
They use guys like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg as examples.
Right, the college dropouts.
Exactly. So it's not just about those formal degrees.
So it's more about having the skills for the job, whatever those skills may be.
Exactly.
Whether you learn them in school or on your own.
Yeah, and it's not like the book pretends that barriers to education don't exist, because a lot of people in poverty face those.
Yeah, whether it's money or cultural factors, there are a lot of things preventing people from getting that education.
Yeah, it's a complex issue for sure.
Now, the book also looks at the struggles women in poverty have to deal with.
Yeah, and that double bind they face. Expected to contribute financially, but also be the primary caregiver.
Right, and it's a constant juggle.
It is.
Which really impacts them financially, but also their mental well-being.
Absolutely. And so often their contributions to the community just go unnoticed.
Even though they already have fewer opportunities.
It's like they're set up to fail almost.
Yeah, the book really emphasizes how this forces women into these tough choices that men don't have to make.
Yeah, it's a very different experience for women.
Now, shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
the book highlights all these successful community-based initiatives.
Oh yeah, those are great.
There's that story about Michael who took it upon himself to address the lack of opportunity.
Oh yeah, what did you do again?
He organized job fairs and even set up training programs to teach people technical skills.
Right.
The book argues that initiatives like these aren't just temporary fixes.
No, they have real lasting power.
Yeah, they give people the tools and resources they need to empower themselves.
Yeah, and it creates jobs.
And ultimately leads to healthier communities.
Exactly. It's all about collaboration. The book says, governments, communities, individuals all working together.
Yeah, because poverty isn't a one-size-fits-all problem.
No, definitely not.
So you need those diverse solutions to tackle it.
For sure.
And the book also looks at the role of technology in all of this.
Yeah, technology is a big one.
Right. Because it can really help bridge those gaps.
Exactly. Giving people access to information, job opportunities, things they might not be able to get otherwise.
Like microfinance programs.
Yes.
Or even telemedicine and mobile clinics reaching those remote areas.
All powered by technology.
Yeah, those are truly game changers in the fight against poverty.
They are.
But The book doesn't just focus on the positives of technology.
Right.
It acknowledges the digital divide, too.
Yeah, because that's a big problem.
The gap between the people who have access and those who don't.
Without equal access, it could actually make inequality worse.
Exactly.
It's definitely something to think about.
It is, and as we continue this deep dive, we'll explore how the book addresses these issues.
Yeah, and the real actionable solutions it proposes.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. And it's interesting how the book kind of ties technology back to family, saying that strong family unit is really key to overcoming poverty.
Yeah, it's more than just, money. It's that emotional support, too.
Right. Like a solid family can give you that strength.
Exactly, that resilience you need to get through tough times.
The book uses the example of the Johnson family.
Oh, yeah.
They had job losses and all these setbacks, but they really pulled through because of how close they were.
And because of that community support, too.
Yeah, their story is such a good example of the power of unity, that we're in this together attitude.
Yeah, they weathered the storm because they had each other.
And the book also points out that the way a family works, the dynamics can really affect whether they can break free from poverty.
That makes sense.
Like families that communicate openly, support each other's dreams, work through problems as a team, those families have a much better chance of escaping poverty.
It's not just about one person's effort.
Right. It's about that collective spirit.
Working towards a shared goal.
Now, this is where things get a little controversial.
Right.
The book dives into toxic masculinity, but it kind of challenges the way we usually think about it.
Okay.
Saying that the term is often used to shame men, take away their strengths.
So it's like they're saying there's a difference between behavior that's actually harmful and the natural instincts men have.
Exactly. Like strength and assertiveness, those are not bad things in themselves.
It's how you use them.
Exactly. So the book is asking for a more nuanced understanding of masculinity, recognizing that strength and vulnerability are both important.
Yeah, it's about balance, not demonizing one or the other.
Right. I like that saying, adversity is the diamond mine of life.
Ooh, that's good.
Kind of applies here, Like going through tough times can actually help you grow.
Especially for men.
Yeah. The book says that when men are faced with challenges, they often rise to the occasion. They become more resilient, more determined to lead.
They thrive in those tough situations.
Right. They find a way to make it work.
The book also talks about how vulnerability affects men psychologically.
Ah, yeah, that's a big one.
Society sends such mixed messages.
I know, right.
Be vulnerable, but not too vulnerable.
Exactly. It's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah. And the book actually backs this up with a study.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it found that men are 4 times less likely to seek help for emotional issues compared to women.
Wow, that's huge.
It is.
Right.
It shows you how much these expectations really affect men.
And the book seems to be advocating for this more balanced approach, encouraging men to embrace vulnerability as a source of strength.
Without losing their masculine identity.
Exactly. It's not about denying your emotion.
Right. It's about integrating them into who you are.
It makes you think about how limiting those rigid definitions of masculinity can be.
They really are.
And the book shares the story about a guy who lost his job during the recession.
Okay.
Instead of giving up, he decided to retrain in a whole new field.
Wow.
And then he started his own business.
That's amazing. He took control and basically redefined what success meant for him.
And speaking of redefining things, the book also dives into education as a way to escape poverty.
Yeah, we talked about that 65% statistic earlier.
Right, but it goes even deeper than that.
It's not just about getting a formal education.
Exactly. They use examples like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates.
The college dropouts who built these massive companies.
Exactly. It's about having the right skills, whether you learn them in school or on your own.
Yeah, it's about having the right tools for the job.
And the book actually makes a case for the trade. Like you can't become a plumber or electrician just by reading a book.
Yeah, you need those hands-on skills.
Exactly. And those jobs are in high demand right now.
They are.
It's a good reminder that there are many different ways to be intelligent.
Yeah.
And that success doesn't always require a college degree.
But the book is also realistic about the fact that a lot of people in poverty face huge barriers when it comes to education.
Yeah. There's the lack of resources,
Factor.
even things like health and nutrition.
It all plays a role.
It's a reminder that access to education isn't a given for everyone.
And that we need to fix those systemic problems if we want to empower people through education.
Exactly.
Now, the book also takes a look at the economic systems that contribute to poverty,
Okay.
like globalization.
Yeah, globalization is a double-edged sword.
Right. It promises this level playing field.
But it often leads to exploitation.
Yeah, especially in developing countries.
The book uses the example of the apparel industry.
Okay.
A lot of the clothes we wear are made in countries with really low wages.
Right. Which might seem like a good thing on the surface.
Yeah, cheaper clothes for everyone.
But it often means workers are being exploited.
And it keeps those countries trapped in poverty.
Yeah. It's a reminder that the benefits of globalization aren't always shared equally.
And that those cheap goods and services often have hidden costs.
The book also criticizes some economic policies, saying that they've actually widened the gap between the rich and the poor.
Okay.
They talk about the hukou system in China,
Yeah.
which makes it hard for rural residents to move to cities and access services.
It's like these policies were intended to boost the economy, but they end up hurting certain groups.
Exactly. And the book is calling for a more mindful approach to economic development.
One that focuses on fairness and equality.
Right.
Now, the book also gets into the role of religion and spirituality in dealing with poverty.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
It acknowledges that faith can be a source of hope and comfort during tough times. But
Absolutely.
it also raises some important questions.
Like how religion sometimes reinforces traditional gender roles,
Yeah.
which can be restrictive for both men and women.
It's about recognizing both the good and the bad when it comes to religion's influence in these communities.
Yeah, taking a nuanced view.
And that seems to be a theme throughout the book.
Definitely need for nuance and a deeper understanding of these complex issues.
Absolutely.
It's not about simplistic solutions.
No, it's about having those tough conversations.
About the root causes of poverty and the many different ways we can empower people.
Yeah, it's a call to action for sure. And that kind of brings us back to one of the book's main points, the power of those community-based solutions.
Yeah, they really seem to be key.
The book argues they can really empower people, create jobs, and improve a community's overall well-being.
It's about people taking ownership.
Right, not just waiting around for someone else to fix things.
Yeah, taking action at the local level.
Exactly. And they give a bunch of great examples of successful community initiatives.
Like Michael.
Oh, yeah, Michael's story is a good one.
He saw a need and took action, organized job fairs, created those training programs.
Right.
Just goes to show, one person can make a difference.
For sure. It's like that ripple effect,
Yeah.
And the book talks about the importance of those community networks, too.
Yeah, that support system can be so important, especially when you're struggling.
Exactly. They share that story about the single dad who was having a hard time providing for his family. And he found so much support in this network of other single parents.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that you don't have to go through tough times alone.
Exactly. Talking about it, sharing your experiences can make a huge difference.
And speaking of support, the book also gets into mentorship.
Oh, yeah. Mentorship is huge.
Right, because a mentor can give you guidance, open doors.
They share a story about this guy named Robert who wanted to be a software engineer.
Okay.
But he didn't know anyone in the tech world.
Right, it's all about who you know.
Exactly. So he joined this coding boot camp and he met these mentors who helped him develop his skills and navigate the industry.
That's great.
And the best part is after Robert became successful, he became a mentor himself.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah, helping other young people from his community break the cycle of poverty.
Paying it forward.
Exactly.
Because the book is really celebrating these community solutions,
Yeah.
but it also recognizes that individual action is super important.
Right. You can't just rely on others.
Exactly, and they talk about the power of positive thinking.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not just, wishing for things to get better,
Right.
but as an actual tool to overcome challenges.
They bring up Mike Tyson's story again.
Right, he had such a rough childhood.
But he achieved incredible success.
It shows you that your mindset can really make a difference.
Absolutely. It's about focusing on what you can do.
Not getting stuck in negativity.
The book even gives some strategies to cultivate a positive mindset.
Like what?
Things like practicing gratitude,
Yep.
using positive affirmation, realizing your goals.
And those aren't just, woo-woo ideas.
Oh, there's science behind it.
They can actually change the way your brain works.
Exactly. Make you more resilient and optimistic
It's about giving yourself those mental tools to face challenges,
and create the life you want.
no matter what your circumstances are.
Exactly. So it's kind of like this two-pronged approach,
Yeah, working on yourself internally, but also taking action externally.
Building community, advocating for change.
Right.
It's recognizing that all these things are connected.
And that we need to tackle poverty from all angles.
This has been a really great deep dive.
Yeah, we covered so much ground.
One of the biggest takeaways from the resilient spirit is that there's no easy answer when it comes to poverty.
Yes. Complicated.
But there's definitely hope.
Absolutely. By working together, we can make a real difference.
Hopefully this deep dive got you thinking about poverty in new ways.
Yeah, and inspired you to take action.
If you're interested in learning more, be sure to check out The Resilient Spirit, Community-Based Solutions to Poverty.
It's available on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.